profit plus your ad backs. So as a business owner, you have a lot of expenses that you kind of deduct on your business. Like you have a car that you may pay through your business. You may have other things, cell phones plus other things like
personal computers, vacations,
like even travel. Like when you go to different seminars. So ultimately, what happens when you calculate your EBITDA, you take your net profit and you add a bunch of other things, which may add another 20% or more on top of your depending how much I guess you spend on a business expenses. That's true, yes.
Yeah. Any expense that wouldn't have to be incurred by the next owner can get added back in.
Correct.
So, what would be profit margins that you like when you look for a new product? Before we move into it,
yeah,
you
sure.
said EBITDA and then profit margin?
Well, when you look for a product, excuse me, we had a few criteria, but besides the product itself, the sales, we looked at profitability, and our kind of minimum was at least 3 times the cost of goods, and that was like the very minimum, like ideally 4 or 5 times, because once you start to factor in expenses and Amazon fees and discounts and whatever else, your margins may really suffer, right? But that was kind of like our formula, the simple formula. So whatever the cost is, at least 3 times would be the sale price. Does it make sense? We'll look at the competition. Are they in that range? And if it looked promising, we would go for it. And also, I don't think I mentioned that, but as part of our branding and kind of partially I discovered by stumbling about it or by intuition, but we really went with like a higher pricing model. So when we first started, it was just a toe strap. There's a bunch of toe straps on the market. We were trying to compete with them, go for the lowest price, try to do lightning deals, and like it wasn't really working. I mean, yeah, we could do a bit more sales, but like the margins were like 0 or negative. And then after listening to some people in the space, and following their advice, started to kind of, actually, initially I started to price test. So I got Splitly, which was one of my favorite tools. So we would A/B test pricing, and like I was surprised that like you would go to a higher price, and many times you would sell more at a higher price than at a lower price, or even if you didn't, your margins or your profit were still higher than. So even though you sold more at the lower price and sold less at the higher price, you made higher profit overall and much higher margin. So like it makes sense. Like why would you invest? Why would you want to sell more units at less profit if you can sell less, invest less into inventory, and make more money, right? So through those testing, I discovered that like the higher pricing really works, and then the few other benefits of increasing your price is the customer base. So customers that look for higher price, they typically tend to be more loyal, and their perceived value is higher. So as long as your product doesn't suck, like it's decent, and you have a higher price, whoever buys them, they would assume it's a better product. And like even if you think about it, you go to Amazon and you search for something, right? You get 10 listings of very similar product, and they all look the same. They're all saying they're the best. They all have similar pictures, great listings. How do you decide? Now, if you're value oriented, you're going to go for the lowest price. But if you actually get the best product, you would then look at the price as a differentiator. So then you would assume that a higher priced item is better and you would buy it. And then typically, unless you get somehow disappointed, like if the product is still good, then you have to focus on packaging and product and whatnot. But if it's good enough, then you will be, there's a higher chance of you becoming brand loyal to that brand and recommending it because you feel like you get a better value.
How much higher do you go?
It really depends on the product and the market. I mean, you have to test it, right?
Yeah.
And we went probably from when we started towards the end of it, like we really priced ourselves as like mid to top tier. We probably at least 60% higher than the initial prices, but that varies greatly based on the products and the niche and where you start with and the competition.
And the audience too. I mean, it depends on what you sell.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I think if we go back to like if there's a meetup group around what you're trying to sell to, like take a tarp, right? You can get like a tarp for $1 at Home Depot or whatever, versus selling, a high quality, expensive canvas tarp for survivalists. You know, you're targeting a different market and you get a lot higher price for a similar product.
Yeah, because some products are just commodities, so it's hard to really differentiate on price. But the products that you find ways to do that, like it's really, I guess it's market dependent. But when possible, I would say always go for testing a higher price. I mean, you'd be surprised.
I can attest to that too. So I sold a product where the main competitor was Just for Men. Just for Men was like $19 on Amazon. I sold mine for $40. And every time I raised the price, the sales volume went up. And so like in beauty, like you look at some of these products that are out there, they cost pennies to make, and they sell them for $40. It's all perceived value, packaging, and money.
Yep.
You know? So if you can get people to see your product and go, this crappy red cup is much better than that other crappy red cup, I'll pay double for that one because it looks better. Who cares? You're gonna, well, you care because you're gonna make a lot more money. But like, and like you were saying, the audience, the people that are willing to spend more money are willing to spend more money again.
Yes, and they're going to be a lot more loyal to your brand because they perceive a higher value than somebody that just goes for the bottom price. So today they buy from you because you're the lowest, and then tomorrow they're going to buy from your competition.
Yeah, yeah, and some people might think that, you know, you're like trying to rip people off or something like that when you're selling something similar for a higher price.
They're not your customer.
But if you think about it, maybe the product is incrementally better, but they're paying double for your product. But you're also giving them a connection to that product. So think about anything in your life that you like love this thing and why you love it. You have a connection to it, whatever it is. You know, people will pay for that. They like to have that attachment to something and dedication to a brand and feel connected to a group or something that's bigger than themselves.
And ultimately, you know, we're not selling a product. Like ultimately, we're selling a feeling, or like, so whatever product somebody's buying, they're buying it to satisfy a need, or, you know, and so like if you're able to tap into that or understand what they were looking for, then you can be so much more effective in you know, marketing and selling and building that brand.
Yep, absolutely.